Welcome to the podcast. I am Katkatibi, and it's been a while since I've posted, and I haven't done like a solo explaining what I'm going to do with this channel. So bear with me because I'm not very good talking alone. I prefer to talk to people, to guests, and stuff like that. So going forward with the channel, I think I'm going to start doing stuff on relationships just because I see a lot of crazy stuff on the internet with people. I don't know. Everybody seems to be going nuts. This new generation kind of forgot how to treat each other. And a lot of that, I think, okay, let me just explain what what I'm trying to get at here. The women think all the men are predators and users and cheaters and liars and like all of them just completely think every single man is, and they base that upon their limited experience when it could be something that's just around the people that they hang out with, maybe their inner circles. Because this is going to sound bad, but birds of a feather do flock together. So if there's a group of men that are friends and one of them is a liar and a cheater, it's more likely that all of them are going to be liars and cheaters because that's how things go. Men are very hierarchical. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but they follow a hierarchy. So in every group, whichever is the top guy, they all kind of fall in line to their morals and values. So that's why when you meet someone, you need to find out their friends and what their friends' morals and values are. And that's going to tell you a lot about the guy. And the same goes with girls, because a lot of girls, if their friends are, cheating and clubbing and drinking and doing crazy things, they're more likely to be the type of girl that does that too. And both of these type of people aren't they're just not good for long-term relationships. And that's where a lot of the confusion gets. People are stuck in little bubbles and they think everybody is like all the people in their particular bubble, because people who are in happy, successful relationships tend to purposefully not hang out with people who are not in happy, successful relationships. It skews your perceptions if you haven't made it into this yet. So some of the ways that I'm going to tackle this topic would be kind of talking about my experiences coming from a divorced family, and then trying to figure out how can I get out of this situation and break this pattern and go to a happy, successful relationship. And what that involved, it involved things like breaking my friend group, breaking away from them, staying away from them because they were very negative against men and against relationships, and all their parents were divorced or unhappy in their relationships. And an unhappy marriage, as an example, is just as detrimental to someone as a divorce. So you want to find people who have good examples for you, because if you can't see something, it's really hard to do it. I heard something about what was that? Like the 6-minute mile. Nobody believed it was possible until the first person did it. And then after that, everybody started doing it and even breaking that. So you have to put yourself in the situation where you can see positive end results of stuff to believe that it's possible. So that's where it becomes your personal responsibility to get yourself out of whatever situation you grew up in, if it's a negative one, and to find a positive situation, find friends who are like that, and ask questions. When I was a little kid, I remember I didn't have grandparents. They had passed away before I was old enough. So when I would go to my friend's house and they'd be a grandma, grandpa, or whatever, most of the time they didn't speak English. They only spoke Spanish, which was no help for me because I don't speak Spanish. But if they spoke English or even a little bit of English, I would ask them tons of questions. How did you find your, husband? What was dating like back in the day? What were some qualities you were looking for? Tell me about the guys that you didn't pick or the girls that you didn't pick. And I would talk to both grandpas and grandmas, great grandmas, great grandpas. I didn't care. I was just trying to get information. And what I found was just a lot of the person that you end up with that becomes a really good partner, they have in their mind already uh, being faithful, being responsible, being a good spouse. They think about these things before. They're very strategic about it. People who just kind of fall into things, these are the ones that tend to have the most problems because they're not being strategic. So, for example, if you're dating someone, if you're a girl, let's say you're a girl and you're dating someone who's a guy, but he comes from a single parent household. Perhaps he's from a single mom. His entire life, he's seen women work, women do everything. Perhaps they babied him, because usually what will happen with boy moms is something called parentification, which is where the mother uses the male son as emotional support, like she would have gotten from her husband if she had one. So what that does to the small child is it makes him very much responsible for his mother's emotional needs. And then when that guy gets married, he's going to still feel responsible for his mother's needs. He's going to put his mother before his wife, his children, his own new family. And that is the one thing that can destroy a family, because you need to put your family first. Your wife has to be first, and then your kids have to be second, and you're creating a new family. That doesn't mean you can't see your parents again, or spend time with them, or not appreciate everything they've done for you and help them if you have the means, but it means that your family has to come first. And it is hard in this situation because we used to be more family oriented. So we would have generations and maybe like a big property with different homes, and we'd be able to easily take care of each other. So if your mom was getting old, they would be like in the house on your family property, so you could just go over there and take care of them, and it wouldn't take much time or effort. It wouldn't take away from your family. But now we're completely spread apart all over the world, and homes are too expensive because we have to be in cities which are more expensive, and it's hard to move your mother or your father, your elderly parents, closer to you when you get older. So then this creates extra problems that we wouldn't have had if we were still living more simply and more communally with our families. That being said, we are in this new world where we can't always afford to do those things. So ideally, your parents should kind of plan for their future without needing to count on you for everything. And that can be really hard because a lot of parents sacrifice everything to get you here, especially if you're an immigrant, or they go through hard times to put a roof over your head, and you feel like you have to pay them back somehow. And you should if you can, but that's where the problem is. It's really hard. So I'm not going to say this is an easy thing, but before you get married, you need to talk about what you're going to do with your aging parents. What kind of relationship are you going to have? Who's going to have like the biggest say? Is the guy going to go to his mom for everything? Well, my mom needs this. So sorry wife, sorry kids. I have to do this for my mom. Sorry about your needs and all the stuff that my family has. I got to help out my mom. So you need to talk about that before. And a lot of people, they're afraid to have these conversations. A lot of my single friends, I talk to them like, have you talked about that you want kids in the next 2-3 years? Have you talked about that you know, like if the guy has a previous child from another relationship, have you talked about what you will and will not do for his child? And if you want your own child, and how you want them to be raised, and where you want them to live, and what happens if you want to move and the mother of his child doesn't want you to, and like there becomes a rift. You need to have these discussions before you get married. And a lot of people are they're too afraid, because I think instinctively they kind of have a feeling like this is not the right person. This person is not going to put me first. So they just go, then I'm not going to ask, because if I don't ask, I won't know, and I can continue to live in this delusion, and then I'll marry this person that's wrong for me, and then I'll be surprised when it doesn't work out. So yeah, that seems to be the biggest problem that I see, is a lot of people forgetting to have important conversations because we're so scared to talk to each other and just tell each other our boundaries and our expectations. The other thing that a lot of people, and I know, seem to have going on is covert contracts. This is when, let's say you're a girl and you marry a guy and you go, well, I'll have a kid with him, but as soon as I get pregnant, I'm quitting my job. You tell yourself this in your mind, but you do not express this to them. And then you resent them when they did not have that idea in their mind and they expected you to continue working through your pregnancy and after. So then now you're upset. Now you're angry. Now you resent them. Now you hate them. Now you're stressed about everything because you can't do both things because you were planning on staying home, but you didn't have any discussion about it because you said in your mind, if I have this child, then I will do this and he will, step up and be the provider. But you didn't talk about it. So then you're shocked that it didn't work out the way you thought. That's a covert contract. Or another covert contract is, let's say the guy makes a lot of money and he goes, well, I made a lot of money, so she's obviously going to be okay with me messing around on the side. That's not a big deal. I make lots of money. I give her stuff. Stuff is enough. And then, of course, she finds out and then she breaks up the marriage because that's cheating and that's immoral and she doesn't want to be with someone who's immoral. But you didn't have this conversation before you got married about your morals and values. So it became a big shocker when they didn't line up. Anyways, so let's see. I want to talk more about relationships, things like that. Maybe I can have some more people on that talk about relationships. And if anyone knows anyone who wants to come and talk about relationships, please get to the comments and suggest some people that I can reach out to. But I want to start having these discussions. And I have had a lot of, what are they called? Like relationship gurus or dating coaches on the podcast before. And I have followed up with some of them. And a lot of them stopped being dating coaches and failed in their relationships. And it's kind of crazy because you can't build your career on something and then fail at it. It's like you don't want to take advice from a broke person, a business advice from someone who's broke and has never had a business. And you don't want to take advice from someone in relationships that they just got into a relationship and then they decided to be a relationship guru, or maybe they're divorced or single. Like, this is crazy, or too young to give you any advice with wisdom behind it. So I'm old. I've been married almost 20 years. Married or dating for the same person almost 20 years. So I think I know a little bit more than at least the people I'm thinking about, and they're pretty popular. So I mean, I'm not going to say that they don't say good things. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they say great things, but sometimes they get it really wrong. And yeah, and another thing that I want to talk about going forward with the podcast is I want to do some episodes on examples of how to communicate properly, because that's huge with people nowadays. But that tends to be with the people who don't end up even getting into relationships. Marriages, I mean, maybe like they just constantly date, break up, but they don't get married. These people tend to have the most communication problems. And a lot of it comes from trauma. Like, you have a trauma response and you just feel like you have to attack people. If there's ever anything you're expecting them to act like somebody did to you before, maybe it was a parent, maybe it was an early relationship partner, something like that happened and you became traumatized and you always felt like you were fighting to be heard. And then this energy cannot come into a healthy relationship, because if you act like that to someone you're serious with, it's not going to work. That's not how you communicate with people. And a lot of people get confused and they think that it's, if you don't want me at my worst, you don't get me at my best, or whatever you want to say. They always have crazy things like that they say. So that's a big one. An example of that would be, let's say you are telling your partner you don't like how, let's say they don't take the trash out, something simple and silly. They don't take the trash out. And that's a big deal for you because you're too weak. You can't lift it up. I know guys think, oh my gosh, it's not that hard. But this is what it's like to be a girl. When you live alone and you fill up your trash, you don't fill it up a lot because you know you have to lift it up out of there and then take it to the trash can to throw it in there. So you would never on your own overfill a trash bag. But guys will overfill a trash bag, shove it in like 15 times because they don't want to go outside and they want to save money on their trash bags. Fine. You want to save money on your trash bags? You want to overfill them? Fine. But you have to take it out. That should be the rule. And plus, it's a messy, filthy job. And it's a silly thing. It's a quick thing you could do. So, yeah. You might go to your spouse and say, you never take it out. How dare you do this to me? I do so much and you can't even do this. And then, of course, they're going to react by the same energy. So they're going to start yelling at you and like, how dare you say that I do so much for you? And then they'll mention all the things that they do. And then they'll say, well, you don't clean the bathroom good enough. And then it's a fight back and forth when all you could have said would be like, sweetheart, it's really hard for me to pick this up because you like to overfill it and it becomes too heavy for me to pick it up. Can you just make sure that I don't have to do it every morning because I can't physically do that? Could you do that to help me out? And then they would be like, sure, no problem. And I know you're saying in your mind, especially the girls, that would never happen. Well, if you date the wrong guy, maybe not, but most guys would be pretty okay with something like that. And another thing about when you're dating, this is crucial. You need to make sure that you're dating someone that is able to clean up after themselves. Just basic maintenance, because it doesn't matter if you have 15 maids in the house. If someone takes their clothes off and puts them in the floor rather than the hamper, it's never going to be clean. If someone leaves all their stuff out, leaves, I don't know, what do guys do? Like their beard shavings all over the place and they don't wipe down the sink after, it's never going to be clean. It'll only be clean for like the 5 seconds after you clean it or the maid cleans it or whoever cleans it. But it won't be clean if you have guests pop in. So that's why you need to always make sure that you check, does this person clean up after themselves? Just like the bare minimum, which is just what every human should do. Children should do this, adults, everybody, every single person should be able to just maintain how you leave a room should be how you found the room. And that's all. It's just very simple. Now, things will get dirty over time, like dust will fly on things. Maybe hair goes on the floor from blow drying your hair, whatever. And then you clean that up once a week, whatever. That's not like the maintenance, like daily maintenance. The daily maintenance is the big clutter stuff. Just wipe down that sink, have a little towel, wipe it down after you use it. It's a simple thing. And not doing that is just, I mean, you can't call yourself an adult at that point. If you expect someone to wipe the sink down after you, you're kind of insane. But a lot of people get married to people, and I'm talking about girls too. There are some very filthy girls, and they always want to blame the guys, but I know some incredibly filthy females that will not do this. And then their husbands grew up in a very clean household. And now they're having to deal with this. And just like women get overwhelmed when they marry a very messy guy, guys can get overwhelmed when they marry a very messy female. I have someone in my friend group that had to get a divorce because he could not keep up with the mess of his wife. And he had never gone to her house. She lived at home with her parents. They would see each other outside of the house. They would go to family events together, but he never had gone into her house until after they were married. And then he was completely mortified. They were hoarders. She was a hoarder. He tried for like 2-3 years to train her out of hoarding and like just piles of filth, really horrible things that you could see on one of those hoarding shows. Maybe there's a dead cat there. I don't know. Like things are dead, things smell off. And she was like that. And the house that they had, his father gave them. And it was so bad that he would say like the walls were black. And it was just a couple months after they got married. And he was just like, I don't understand this. And he's just running around trying to clean up. And then he's just like, I can't be with someone who's this messy. But these are type of things that you need to do before you get married. You need to see, how do they live? You should have the right to say, can I see your room? Can I see your bedroom? Can I look in your drawers? How bad is it? What am I doing here? So don't wait until you're in a legal contract or a marriage to like say, hey, how are you about cleaning up after yourself? Are you clean? Oh, I had one friend, she found out that her husband never brushed his teeth. Never brushed his teeth. She thought he just had halitosis until a while in. And then finally she made him go to her dentist. He had like almost all cavities. It was so gross. And then she didn't want to kiss him anymore. And I mean, that is crazy. Why are you people marrying people you don't check their health, check their credit, check everything? I mean, these are just basic things. You guys are just so, I don't know if it's just desperation. Like you're just like, I'll take anyone. And then you go through it and then you're like, oops, maybe it's not good to take just anyone. Yes. And there's a lot of people that clutter stuff. It's not just girls or guys. Both genders are equally disgusting. So you have to just find a clean one that at least matches your clean energy. If you're both disgusting, then that's fine. You're going to be happy. You're not going to care. But if one of you is up here and the other one's down here, this is not going to work. So just match. Like if you both open your drawers and everything is just like the junk drawer, that some people have one junk drawer in their home, but every one of your drawers is a junk drawer, but you're both like that, you'll be fine with that. That's not going to be your issue. I don't know why I'm coughing. Anyways, so wow. What else? What else do people do that's crazy? Oh, one of them is, I know some people that, and I know a lot of people, and everybody's like, why do you have all these weird friends that have all these messed up lives? Look, I hang out with everyone from my middle school and high school. I like everybody. I still keep in touch with them. I follow them on the Facebooks. I know what's going on. And I message them privately, like, what's going on with your life? And people tell me. And it's fine. And it's different. Like the people that you are maybe, let's call them acquaintances with, you can still have a good relationship with your acquaintances and know private details of their life. Because also a lot of people still come to me for advice from middle school and high school, and even actually some elementary school friends I still keep in touch with, maybe like once every 2 years or something. And we just blurt out everything that's been going on, all the details of our lives and mutual friends. So, I mean, your primary circle, try to keep them people who have the relationships that you want, the money that you want, the values that you want, the morals that you want is the hugest one. If all your friends have good morals, your relationship would be good. That's a big one. So some things to look out for the morals is, and I tell a lot of my single friends and acquaintances this, you can't be going to clubs all the time. What's at a club? What good thing happened? And this is a big thing for Miami people. I don't understand what this club stuff is. It's dirty. It's disgusting. You don't even know like these people. Sorry. They can be following you to your car. And why do you want people to see you shaking your butt anyways? What is the benefit of putting yourself in a situation where you're shaking your butt to some strangers. They could be like the worst people in the world, and they probably are, because why are they at a club? What good thing happens like after midnight? Nothing. Now, the types of people that I like, and I think they're more green flags, people who go to family parties. I love a good family party people. So growing up, we would have a lot of house parties, and it would be all generations. Great grandma's there, grandma's there, the parents are there, the kids, young kids, cousins, everybody's there, and everybody's partying and they're hanging out, and all generations are hanging and whatever. We're all having fun. Those are good parties. Those are good. And then you can bring your friends to your family parties, and then you go to your friends' family parties, and that's fine. I'm all for that. That is the best situation. You do not want to be in a club with random strangers. Now, where can you meet people? Because this is something that a lot of people have problems with. Do not meet people in the club. Never go to a bar. I mean, I'm really happy that this generation is not drinking. That's great. Now, they're doing too much other stuff that they shouldn't be doing. The marijuanas and the edibles, and they're doing these ayahuasca trips so they can find themselves or feel better or whatever. And I think that's just as detrimental as alcohol. You shouldn't need anything to calm down. Just whatever. But where you find people, okay. Have a hobby. It's a good one. I'm into fish tanks. I have little tiny shrimp in here. Little tiny shrimp, okay? There's a ton, especially in Florida, because I'm in Florida. There's a ton of aquarium groups online, and they meet up, and it's super nerdy. It's like ridiculously nerdy. We like share plants and rocks and live sand and different things, like depending if you're saltwater or freshwater or whatever. And it's a lot of fun, and they're into something that you're into. And people who have hobbies tend to be like just better people, in my opinion. Perhaps a little more autistic. They're a little more on the spectrum, yeah. But sorry. But why would you want someone who doesn't have any hobbies? They don't have any interest. They have nothing to talk about. What are they going to talk about? They're going to talk about the Kardashians? Like, what are they talking about? They're going to talk about sports? Do something. I think going to a park and maybe playing softball or something and meeting other people that do that, or going to a farmer's market is a great place because they tend to have your values. And someone like, okay, I was at a farmer's market and I met this really sweet young boy that like makes sourdough bread, the best bread ever. And I'm just like thinking he'd be great for my sister if I can get her to like come over here and meet him. And I'm just saying, like, that's a good person to meet. That's a great way to meet someone. Go over there and talk to people that make things. Talk to people that make things that you would actually buy. The guy who makes sourdough would make a great dad. Does anybody think of this stuff other than me? Like, come on. What about like the girl that makes soaps, or she makes like organic skincare at the farmer's market, or the whatever, the maker's market, whatever they have going on? Or someone who sells antiques and is really into that, or someone who repurposes furniture or refinishes, or whatever you want to call it. Like, people who are into things like that, they tend to be like really great because they're like homebodies. They have hobbies and projects that they're doing at home. These are good people. Why do you need someone who has a stupid flashy car that's trying to get attention, someone with like injected whatever, dresses like a skank, or dresses like some clubbing pimp or something? I don't know. Why would you want that? You would want the nice, calm, regular person that's chill, has a good work ethic, and that's it. That's all you need. Just like a chill person. Another place you can go is if if you're a chick and you want to meet guys that are more successful, you can go to wherever people can take their yacht or take their boat up to and go to a restaurant. Those restaurants tend to be filled with people who at least have money to spend on a boat, and we all know a boat is a money pit. So if you have any boat, you got to have some expendable money, so you're probably able to afford a wife and kids. So just go there. And a lot of them, people who like to get outside and do things outside, like jet ski, go on the boat, go fishing. Fishing is a great one. I used to go under the pier and meet lots of people. And if you're single, that's a great place to meet people. Or you go with your family, another family's there. Maybe the kids hang out and then they become friends. And if they're the same age, they can date. I mean, there's so many places that you can do, and you can go and find people. But people still keep swiping. I mean, anyone that you swipe on, like a million people have already swiped on them. Because if they're enough to get your attention, they're enough to get a million people's attention. And then you're competing against like too many people. And the person is probably skewed on what they want because they don't want to settle because they have too many options. And they don't realize that the options are for sleeping with them and not for marriage. So it's a very messed up situation when you go to the apps. Anyways, so what are some other things that people can do? My cat's trying to jump and break into the bedroom. Anyways, so that's what I want to do going forward. It's been like 30 minutes. So I'm going to think of some topics to go deeper into these type of areas. And I'm thinking about doing that maybe starting next week. But please, if anyone has any ideas for someone that I can talk to about relationships, about dating, that you feel is not just some dating guru that has no experience and they just got married 2 days ago, because I can't with those. Someone who's been married a long time. If you even have like a grandparent or somebody like that speaks English and that is willing to come and give some advice to people, then that would be great, because we need more people who Okay, I figured it out. Wow. Anyways, I unplugged the mic and I couldn't get it to work. Sorry, guys. But yes, message me and we'll talk. I'll go on your stream. Yes. So, I know. I suck at doing this by myself. I need people to talk to. So if anyone has anyone that would like to come in and talk about relationships, that has been in a long-term relationship, please let me know. Anyways, before I go, what else should I say about this? Let's see. Okay, so the biggest problem that a lot of my girlfriends are having are just having to have kids while working. And I know what everybody's going to say. They're going to go, you cannot support a family on one salary, blah, 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 blah. That is kind of insane to me, because you don't need that much to to support a family. If you maybe move to a place that's cheaper, get out of the city. I mean, you get an apartment instead of a house. You don't need a big house. In fact, I'm so much happier when I'm in a smaller space. And my mom has like a ginormous, incredibly ridiculous, like huge, I don't know if you want to call it a mansion or like a McMansion or one of those, but it's ridiculous. And it's so much maintenance that she can't do it. Why do so much? But I don't know, like people need to like realize that you'll be so much happier if you just live within your means and just get a small place. When I was living with my husband at first, at first we lived a whole year with my dad in my bedroom that I had growing up. So imagine how tiny that was. And you know what? We were so happy because we didn't have to clean anything. We just did our own laundry and cleaned up, and we would just go out to eat because we had all the extra money from like saving it and stuff. Pay my dad a little bit for rent, but still lots of money to save. And then, of course, you can't do that if you have a kid because that's crazy. But then we moved into an apartment that was only like 700 square feet, tiny as hell. And it was like, I'll call it a 1.5 bedroom. And the half bedroom they called it like an office space, but you could put like a twin size bed in there. So it technically could have been like a 2-bedroom. If you had a kid, you could put a kid in there, no problem. And that was the best because it was easy to afford and it was in a half decent neighborhood. And he could afford it by himself. And I mean, I paid half at the time because I didn't have kids, so I'm not going to just like stay home. And it was like a great time. We didn't have to clean as much. We couldn't even like fit a dining table. So it's a very tiny place. The dishes had to be like this inside because they couldn't be flat because the cabinets were so small. So just imagine how like tiny everything was. And we still made it work. 4 dishes, 4 cups. That's it. You couldn't have a party over, but there was a rental place, like a clubhouse. So we'd have our parties there for like $100 or something. Maybe now it's $300, but still it's way better than having people in your house. And then you can have parties there. There's a pool there. You can do stuff like that. You don't need to own a house. And I think people lie to you about like how wonderful it is to own a house. We fortunately got in before things got too expensive. So we don't have a very expensive house. And our mortgage is basically what rent would be for like a 3-bedroom apartment. Probably the same as our house. But you don't need all this space. And I tell you this, like the more space we have, the more crap we buy and shove it in to all the closets and stuff. It's so packed here. Like, what is this cabinet? What is in here? Why do I have this much stuff? I don't even use this stuff. I don't even know what any of this stuff is. I would be so much better off in a smaller space where I couldn't even do this crazy stuff. Why do I have 5 fish tanks? That's nuts to me. But we have the space for it, so you just go, oh, well, I'll put something there. But anyways, so yeah, you can live within your means and blah, 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 blah. And when we actually lived for a year after that in Taiwan, so we lived in like an apartment. We should have gotten like an Airbnb or something like that, but I don't think we felt comfortable. We wanted like a hotel so that it was like a chain and we could feel safer and secure. But it turns out Taiwan is super safe and secure and a very lovely place. And I ended up spending most of my time hanging out with strangers from the expat community groups. And yeah, so even in a hotel room, that's literally one room, one chair, like one bed, one chair, 2 side tables, you could be happy. Now, if you have kids, that's insane, but you don't need a lot of space. And yeah, like you can get land, get like if you get one of those, what's it called? Like mobile homes or whatever, like the ones that don't have foundations, you don't pay that much tax on it. like almost nothing. Like you don't pay tax on the structure. And you can have like multiple tiny homes and then have like a few acres and grow your own food if you can. Have a cow, get some milk, have a goat, get some goat milk, make some cheeses, sell them in the farmer's market. You don't need a big house. You don't need all that stress. I mean, the dream with my friends and I is we want to sell our stupid homes, get like 10 acres within at least 45 minutes to a city so that we can go get stuff if we need to, and then make like tiny little maybe airstreams or whatever and rent them out to people, have like a pond there, and do like, that's the dream. This is a crazy dream. Anyways, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Now I'm just going nuts. But anyways, so when I lost my job, I was a social worker. When I lost my job, I didn't lose it. I quit because my boss at the time, why am I just talking crap? I don't know, whatever. My boss at the time, she was insane. She hated me. She was brand new. She just got her MBA from the University of Phoenix online. And she would tell me about how like you can just search for the answers to all the tests online and just like put it in. Like you can have two like tabs open, one with the answers and one with the test, and just put it. I'm like, wow, great. Awesome. Anyways, and she hated me. She ended up like coming in to me saying that she was going to find something wrong with my files and get rid of me. And I'm literally like, nice to meet you. What is going on here? So that's what it's like to work as a woman. Women will attack you. So it's like, this is going to come. People get mad when I say this because they say, you're not for girls. You're not for women. Like, what are you talking about? When are women for women? What is that? If somebody is jealous of you, they're going to try to destroy you. Like females do that. Females are highly competitive. Guys are not competitive against females. It's like so much more relaxed. They will try to sleep with you. I'm not going to say that's not true, but they're not going to try to like get you fired because they're jealous of you. That's something that females tend to do to each other more. Anyways, I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So, somebody asked me a question. I don't know. Anyways, so that's it for today. Maybe I do something tomorrow around the same time or a little earlier. So I will come up with a topic that's more clear so I don't ramble too much. Everybody have a great day, and I wish you the best. And sorry I'm coughing. I have like a sore throat. And thank you for your time. Bye.